Peter, one more preseason game to go. Just to kind of follow up, I wanted to see what was the status of Erik Hurtado and his injury from the other day.
So he had a little bit of a little pain in his ankle. So we had gotten him an injection back in Kansas City, and we always need a couple days to because of the amount of fluid that's put in. Just needs a few days to kind of go through the system, and so he's back training already. He was there yesterday, full training today as well. So he's back in the team. It was just more of giving him the break that he needed to kind of calm something down, but he's fine.
And then do we expect to see him on Wednesday?
Yeah, he'll be a part of the group on Wednesday. Like I said, he's back in full training, so he's ready to go. It wasn't a thing where you hurt a muscle or something, now you're out for like 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. It just was more of a pain type thing. Just need to be calmed down.
And speaking of Hurtado, so a lot of people made the comparison between him and Shelton. Obviously, they have some similarities, play the same position, of course. How do you see those two players compared to each other?
I don't know if you would compare them. I think Khiry had some very specific things he was really good at, and then the other is as he knew I wanted to work with him because I think he has a lot of qualities to score goals. I just don't think that he was kind of in that frame of mind to do it. It was something we were going to work towards, but unfortunately he made a different decision, which is okay. I get it. Guys have other ambitions, and I always understand that. With Erik, I think the difference is that he already has a lot of quality in scoring goals, and so I think that he's one that looks to find more chances, and he also likes to get in behind teams as well. So I think there's a little difference between the two. But even like him, it's going to take him a little time to get used to us, and every day he's getting better and better.
All right, and then so obviously your favorite formation appears to be the 4-3-3. You play it pretty consistently. Any plans to switch it up, play different formations at all this year?
Every year, we do something maybe a little different, a tweak here or there. The foundation has always been the 4-3-3 for me because I think I can step off of that with the guys on anything else. I think one of the things is that you can do different things within your formation, and because of the quality of player that we have today, we've already changed some things up in the way that we're playing. I won't necessarily get into all those details, but we are. It's just little nuances in the way that our formation is or our style of play, and always with the quality of players that you have, you can wind up doing different things, or you can put on the next layer of the onion if you want, because of the quality that you have in the team.
And on Thursday, Tyler Freeman got into the formation in replacement of Hurtado at center forward. What were your thoughts on him during that game?
Yeah, so Tyler was injured when we signed him. He had an injury that we knew we needed to give him like 3, 4, 5 months off until it got 100% better, because it just didn't make sense at his age to keep pushing him through an injury that is really just based on overuse. And so the time off was great for him, and he's 100% healthy, but also being out that long also took you out of the game. What I'm pretty impressed about with him is how fast he's gotten right back into the swing of things, just in his form as a player. And I also am a little bit surprised at the kind of quality that he brings. And it's not just there, because we played him in the midfield as well. We played him out wide. He just has a really good sense of how to unbalance players individually and also defenses. He can score. He can give a final pass. He's got a pretty good, which I like, is he's got a pretty good selfishness at times in and around the box. Like, he knows that, okay, there might be another guy I could pass the ball to, but it would be more as if I'm kind of passing the opportunity up for another guy to take the opportunity, so I don't want to take it myself. And he's got a little selfishness in that regard, and I think guys who score goals need to have that a little bit. He has that at 16, and that's not normal, because you're usually at that age, you just want to make sure that the rest of the guys like you, but he doesn't even think about that. He just goes out and plays and does a good job. He plays off in between the lines really well, and he's, I don't know if you can tell, but he's really good on the ball. He's really good on the ball for his age, so it's good. It's good to see him make the kind of steps that he's making.
And then speaking of him, you mentioned he played winger, attacking mid, center forward. Do you have a preferred spot for him? Is it still too early to kind of know?
It's too early for us, I think, because I think it's really going to be more of how he fits into us. I mean, I know what he's done with our academy over the years, but I think it's going to be about finding where he he feels the most comfortable and also where he complements the team, and that's going to be a combination between, the first team and the Swope Park Rangers, our B team. It's gonna be him us constantly trying to find where he fits in the best.
All right, and then you've talked about how you have a plan, basically, obviously, for every player on the team, and the young guys specifically about getting a certain amount of games, minutes. Do you see where players like Busio, Kuzain, Lindsey are going to fit in this year? Is it going to be more with the first team, or is it going to depend on?
Some of it depends on how far we go in all these competitions, because at that point we need a plethora of players for sure. At the same time, what I don't want to do is, and we got into this a little bit last year, is that Boost was right on the verge all the time of either starting or he was always in the 18. And a lot of times when he's in the 18, even if he got in for 10 minutes, it's just not enough. So we got to make sure that we take that piece out of us keeping him with the team and actually maybe letting him go play 90 minutes with Swope Park Rangers, because that's going to be a big part of his development over these next couple years. I mean, he's really young, right? I mean, these guys are all really young, and that still gives us the ability to use these next couple years to really cut their teeth in playing a lot of games. And I would like, as I said to you before, I'd like to get somewhere in the neighborhood of 24 to 30 games for all the young kids that are on our team. Where that is, I don't know yet. And I would also include for some of those guys, that's going to be national team games as well, because if you look at Lindsey, he gets called up for the 20s, so if he goes there and plays a bunch of games, he has to be counted as a part of that development.
That makes sense, yeah. And then I wanted to follow up too on, so I opened it up to Twitter and asked them questions, and one of the things that came up over and over was people think that the team isn't spending, but then I ran the numbers again real fast, and you're in the top half of the league in salary output, at least according to what the Players Union has out there. So I want to see kind of, what your thoughts are on that. How do you see that?
Yeah, so I think what gets lost in the shuffle is that over the years, and it's not just this year or last year, it's over the years, what we have done is, if you look across our team, we have more players that are making the maximum or more salary than any other team in the league, really. Now, to be fair, the reason why we can do that is because we've also, I think, made some really good deals with other teams where we continue to find ways to accumulate more money, TAM, GAM, what have you, which then allows us to have more of those players at that whatever you want to call it, that mid-level salary. And so for me, it's just adding, what we get a chance to do is we keep adding more quality players, more numbers of quality players in comparison to maybe other teams where they might spend a boatload on their 3DPs, but in doing that, they don't have as much of the other monies to fill out the rest of their roster. We still are in a place that our roster's never done, and I always find it interesting, because where our roster's never done is that it's never going to be done. We're always going to constantly be looking to improve it. So if a good opportunity comes and it's a player that we think fits us, wants to be here, and all obviously all the stars have to be aligned, we're always willing to make that move or that decision. But I guess what I get perplexed a little bit when I hear that question is it so if you went out, I'm taking any club, just Club A, if they go out and they spend a bunch of money but they're not competitive or find any success, do you feel good about that as a fan, that that's how your team is because you spend a lot of money? Or is, at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're a competitive team and you're always in the mix of things? So I guess I know the answer to that. I think it's pretty simple. I just don't understand that kind of thinking. And I get the fans have their own opinions on things, and I understand all that. I really do, and I respect it. But at the same time, my mission was, when I came in and I started coaching, I remember the ownership group asking me what my objectives were. I said my number one objective is that we're competitive every year, that we have a chance to try to win something because we are actually competitive enough to do that. And I think that we've been that way for a long time, and that's still the same goal now. We were this close last year of being in the final. I think that's pretty good. But then I would also say is that we don't spend nearly the kind of money that other teams do on our 3DPs. and that's just a function also of, hey, we're not Atlanta, and we have a stadium that has 70,000 seats in it, and we can sell it out. And there's just other things that, it's a different city, it's a different market, and we're always going to be that way. And so we're going to have to do things a little different. We've done that all along. And like I said, if the objective is to stay competitive, and we have, then it's not just about spending money.
So you touched on, I want to, excuse me, I want to follow up the large transfer fees, right? That's where Atlanta, New York's, and LA's are kind of getting ahead. What do you find as the challenge being, people see Kansas, like, well, where's Kansas, right? Is that a big hurdle to overcome when you're trying to bring these guys in with these that would have big fees?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's a lot of guys that, first off, don't want to come to Kansas. They don't even know where it is, what it is. They think people are riding horses. I mean, I really do. It's just the way it is. Now, no problem. If I can get a player here on a recruiting trip, then it's totally different. I can sell a player in 2 seconds. But the other side of it is, most players, when they say they want to come to MLS, they're thinking New York, they're thinking California, West Coast. That's what they're thinking. And so for us, that's a challenge in itself, right? We might find 5 guys that we really like, and hey, they fit our team really well, but if they don't want to come, they don't want to come. So that's another hurdle that we have to overcome. But I think the guys that we have all want to be here, all give everything that they have for the club, and they've also, like I said, have helped us get success, and I think they will continue to do that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the time, Peter.
Yeah.